Alright guys, big welcome to you all to our channel. We are Team Crushing the Meta, and today we're here with Spike Weather video. So there have been some Spike Weather reveals, and we have the Force 2 that it was introduced. So before I go into this video, I would like to thank you guys for all the love and the support that you give to our channel, and also the love that we get when we go to tournaments. We appreciate that a lot, and some of you have been requested me to do this, and I really wanted to wait till the end to tell you my thoughts because I wanted to see all the cards that are revealed. So these are from the premium collection, and again as a mechanic, which is Force 2. So first, let's talk about Force 2. There always have been an issue with Spike with a standard, and that was you could create 3 huge columns, but the problem was whenever they guard your Siegfried, you cannot multi-attack. Spike's biggest power is multi-attacking, and without you being able to multi-attack, the decks actually fall apart. We didn't get Skydiver, we didn't get Dudley Mason, we didn't get anything that could call like Dudley Dan during the battle phase, and because of that, the deck really needs the multi-attacking or the calling in the battle phase. So what we normally do is, you have those 3 columns, you attack with the first column, you attack into the Vanguard or try to hit a rear guard, and they do not guard that. Then you attack with your Vanguard, which is Siegfried. We're talking about standard. When you attack with your Siegfried, they will guard that attack with a PG most of the time. And if you get a critical trigger and you put everything on the rear guard that didn't attack yet, they will have to guard that as well, and with that they are safe from your turn. With getting Force 2, that would mean that you could give the Force marker to that rear guard that attacks first. So you make a huge rear guard, you attack with it with a critical trigger into their Vanguard, and they have to guard that attack. Then you guard with your Vanguard, which is huge as well with a hit ability. They would have to guard that as well, otherwise you would just restand the rear guard that just attacked. Then you attack with the last rear guard. If you get a lot of critical trigger and power, you could give it to that rear guard, and that rear guard could try to hit their Vanguard. If you do not, you could now attack into a rear guard or something else, because you don't want to give them counterblast. But before that, you had to give them counterblast because you have to attack the first time with a rear guard that doesn't have a crit. So that makes the standard Spike with the deck really way better, the Force 2. Then we talk about premium. If we talk about premium, talking about the Hillary 8, the Bad and Dragger, the Agrius deck, or Charge deck, or whatever deck, or even Dudley's, now you could choose between the two because both of them are good, but depending on your match and also depending on the deck that you're playing, you could choose between Force 1 or Force 2. The same for standard. You could always, of course, choose between 1 or 2, but in the most situations you will go for 2, as Neonectar, Spike Withers, those that could make a huge columns, Bermuda Triangle will benefit a lot from having Force 2. So I think that's the perfect support that Spike needed as in standard Spike, is the Force 2 marker, and we'll have to wait and see what the second wave of the Spike Roller support will do, and we'll see how the standard deck will change until then, because we didn't get a promo, we didn't get anything. The only thing that we have got is Force 2. Okay, enough about that. Now it's time to talk about the reveals from the premium collection. But before we go into those, I would like to refresh your memories with the Big 5, or Incredible 5 as I like to call them. The Incredible 5s are Giant Star, Blackguard, Fake Bomber, Instructor, and of course, as always, Frog Raider. Those 4, like Instructor, the grade 0, 1, 2, 3, as you can see right here in the screen, they have, or they could make a small loop, because Blackguard could recall the Giant Star or the Fake Bomber, while Fake Bomber could recall anything that you have in your hand that you want to put on the field to get that extra attack, while Mega Instructor could make a small loop with the Giant Star, because you don't always have to charge the Giant Star. That also was the combo that you do with Dust. So this will reintroduce Dust to the game as well for Spike Brothers. But now we could talk about the new strides with keeping in mind the Incredible Five, as I just like to call them. Now we have the Progenitor Dragon of Gloomy Dark Formido. Formido. Okay, this guy is incredible. Of course, we have the first two abilities, which when you want to stride into this card, you have to discard the same card name as your Vanguard. And the second ability, whenever you have this card face up in your G-Zone, you stride without paying the cost, but you have to stride into him to get him face up because you can't flip him with an ability. So those two abilities were great, and let's say the second ability worked great in each and every deck because now you could rewrite without thinking about paying the cost to stride or keep more cards in your hand, or whenever you go into their Typical and you only have one card in hand, which is the card that you drew, you could just stride into him and use that card to attack. And the GB8 the same, as long as you could stride for free, the card that you draw for turn will start the chain for your GB8 turn. So it's a great card, and it has the great ability that you could stride for free. Then his third ability, and the ability that makes him unique to the other Progenitor Dragons. The ability is an auto, on place, you counter +1, and then you choose, or your opponent would have to choose, the same amount of regards they have as open regard circles you have on the field, and they retire those regards. If 3 or more were retired, you draw a card and soul charge 5. Okay, it's a very interesting ability. How could that ability work in the different Spike decks that we have? The first one we talk about is the GB8. First thing that comes in mind, this card does not flip. With that in mind, if you go into him as a first stride, you have to use 3 Lioness to get to the GB8, because that's 6, counting him, that's 7. So is that good? Well, sure. Normally you use a Hegaton Gus or a Regatome to discard and draw or something, but sure, because normally when you G-Guard once, your opponent would still continue attacking, but when you G-Guard for the second time, they will stop attacking because they would not like to take the GB8 to their face. So what you normally do is you guard the first attack with the G-Guard, and then when they attack with the Vanguard, you double G-Guard that attack. So it doesn't really matter that much. You're losing the Hecaton Gus, but now you're striding for free. And you also have the field control of the second ability, or actually third ability, or his own unique ability, let's say, which in that case could get rid of some irritating Trade Elementals that your opponent has on the field, or some really good regards that they could use, or just get you an extra draw and kind of a field control. That's for the GB8. Then we talk about Bad End Dragger. Of course, Bad End, as the other decks, still really enjoy striding free, but soul charging 5 in Bad End Dragger could be a problem because you're losing your combo pieces, the cards that you really want to get to your hand. The field control is good, but normally doesn't matter because as long as you go to that big turn, your opponent would lose anyway. And again, only the Cray Elemental could be a pain in the ass for actually all the Spike Brother deck, but Bad End Dragger even more because they don't really have their whole deck as a toolbox. They actually have their field as a kind of a toolbox, and with that, the GB8s benefit more from that retirement power. Yeah. So the next deck that we want to go into is Rising. Rising as in the heavy charge combo deck. This is the deck that benefits the most from the Soul Charge, because now you have Soul Charge for your Fake Bomber, which is the great one that counter charge and one of the Incredible 5. If you don't know what Fake Bomber does, if he's charged, you need a Rising Vanguard. Whenever he boosts the attack, he also gets 5k from being charged, but you call something from your hand and you counter charge, which is great by Soul Blasting too. So his cost is Soul Blast, and that's why this card is good, because Soul Charge 5. Again, for tier, the Soul Blast, For Mayhem Tiger, you need Soul Blast. So there are some cards that you use, especially in the Rising deck, like Mayhem Tiger and like Fake Bomber, that uses a lot of Soul. So it's good. And the Retirement and the Striding Free is always good. The Draw card is always good. And then we have the Agrius deck. I would think that the Agrius deck will benefit the most from free striding, because most, or actually all of your grade 3s that you play are force or have the force marker. So you always want to rewrite and get more force markers in the field. And also, as we have seen from Dominic John in Words, which he couldn't stride for 2 or 3 turns, he really needed that skill that you could stride for free. And if he got that, he would have destroyed his opponent. But again, I think Agrius is the deck that benefits the most from striding free. Okay, now we have the next card, which is Violent Ace. Shutdown Emperor Violence Ace. If you are a Spikewater player and you don't like this card, then I don't want to say go fuck yourself, but damn, really? I mean, the art of this card, this skill is amazing. First of all, it's an incredible skill because it's really hard to master. It's not an easy skill like Agrius, and that's what makes this card really good for me, because I really want people to put effort into making their deck and making their combo to be able to win. And with Agrius and the standard deck with Agrius, it was easier. I don't want to say that it's less skilled to play, because it's not. You have to know when to rush. I play the deck myself, so but it's really interesting that Bushiroad made this card to be hard to master. The downside to this card, in my opinion, it has too many costs, which the first thing, his ability, is an Act. Once per turn, you counterblast 1 and you flip something from your G-Zone face up, and then you draw the same amount of cards from your deck as face-up cards you have in your G-Zone. And then this card also gets the ability that by Soul Blasting 1, it's an Act ability, so you could use it multiple times. By Soul Blasting 1, you target one of your rare guards, or actually units, and you give it an extra 10k. Then his second ability is whenever your opponent plays 2 Guardians, so whenever they have 2 Guardian on the Guardian circle, his skill would trigger by counterblasting 1, you target one of your rare guards, put it into the soul, call something from your hand. So we see that Miracle Ace skill from there, like calling from the hand, but Miracle normally costs 2 Soul Blast to call, and this card costs a Counterblast and a Rare Guard to put into the soul, which is not bad. But in a normal situation, if you're on a charge, you want to put that Rare Guard back to the deck. But with this skill, you could like really benefit from putting that Rare Guard into the soul, because now you have more soul, and at the same time you opened an open Rare Guard circle for your stuff to come on if they have the ability that you have to call to an open Rare Guard circle. Alright, so how good is this card in each and every deck? First of all, let's talk about his first ability, which draw you cards. The one thing that comes in mind is it does cost a Counterblast. So you could go Agrius or you could go this card. Both of them cost Counterblast. But if you're playing a deck that uses Tier, sometimes when you go Agrius, then you end up with 2 Agrius face up in your G-Zone, and you normally wanted a Marindol or 2 Marindols or a Marindol and a Seabreeze to get at least a counter charge from Tier. This card could flip a Crane Elemental, so that means it's between the Marindol turn and the Agrius turn. The only downside is it costs Counterblast, and that's the reason why sometimes we have to go into Marindol or Supernova, because those two are the only strides that we could use in Spike that do not cost Counterblast. I mean effective strides, as long as you can call Marindol being effective, just flipping cards. One more important thing is this skill activates in the main phase. Flipping something in the main phase is something that Spike could not have done without Marindol. So now, when we talk about the decks that this card could use, when we talk about the GB8 build, this card is perfect as of his first ability. He does not cost you to attack. So you could just go for this card, pay the cost, flip something, and with that you draw a lot of cards. Like on the first strike, draw one, but Agrius needs to attack, and this card does not. Also, he could flip a Cray Elemental, which is good for your tier. So that's for the GB8. The second ability is alright when your opponent put 2 Guardians out there, but it's not made for the GB8 build. And then we talk about Bad End. How good is this card in Bad End Dragger? Well, I don't know. Well, the thing is, Bad End Dragger needs to go to good end, and if they do not go to the good end, they cannot get the power that Bad End really does. So I don't think that this could interact with Bad End in any situation, because how could you get Bad End doesn't have a strat skill or anything, and this card will not go back to the G zone. So you don't have the skill. Next thing we're gonna talk about is the charge deck. Of course, the charge deck is the deck that benefits the most from this card. I mean, this card skill comes from a Miracle Ace, and the Miracle Ace is actually the card that made the charge deck so good. It's actually the card that helped me top with the Dirty Piccolo and get 3rd place before we even got the GB8. So that's where everything started, and that's why I love this card. This card will bring the charge deck back to life. How is that possible? Well, again, the Incredible 5 that I just showed you, Frog Raider, you could power Frog Raider insanely with this card, because the Act ability that you Soul Blast went to give one of your units extra 10k could stack on one unit, and at the same time you could use it multiple times each turn. So if your opponent does not play Kagero, Nubutama, Gyurkanoku, Link Joker, or sometimes even let's say Narukami, and they could not get rid of that Frog Raider you have on the field, then they're pretty much fucked, because they cannot do anything about it. The Frog Raider will become huge, and with the big 5 combo or Incredible 5 combo, you could keep calling Regards, and you could make an incredible Frog Raider with an incredible attack each time. At the same time, his second ability could activate, and that's good, because Fake Bomber could call from hand, but by his skill, by counterblasting 1 and calling something from the hand, that skill could also activate in different scenarios, when you run out of Fake Bombers, or you run out of Soul, or this or that. But the only problem is, it costs Counterblast. That skill should have just cost you to put a Regard from your soul, from the field to the soul to call something, or cost a Soul Blast, which could have been, I think, better for the deck, but the Counterblast is a little bit heavy, and you need the Counterblast for Laser, you also need the Counterblast for Star, so I think the second ability is a little bit strange, but we will learn to work with it. You could also, like, from his second ability, you could call cards like Tier, which is something that you could not call with the combo, because most of your Regards require to call something with a charge ability, and now you could call something without the charge ability. You could also call up another unit if you have something that could not leave the field. So it's pretty good in my opinion, especially with the charge deck, but mostly the first part of the ability, or the first ability, is good. The second ability of this card is a little bit strange, but that's what it makes it pretty interesting, because I've been thinking about this card for like 2 complete days, and I really like, there are so much that you could do, but at the same time, he's so strange. The second ability costs you a Counterblast, which is something that you cannot afford in charge, and you see what I'm going through, right? And that's why I think the card is good, because it's not easy to use, and till now I'm still struggling with the second ability. Last but not least, we have the Agrius deck. Let's say the deck that uses the V cards with Agrius to make 3 strong attacks, and then use Agrius skill to recall 2 more and have a huge field, and by having Mega Instructor, one of the Incredible 5, he could get an extra attack. So how good is this card in that deck? Well, first of all, if you don't have the right rear guards, the Agrius deck falls apart because you need to have the right rear guards. And with this card, he draws you a lot, which means he could get you the right card to your hand, and then you could attack with the rear guards you have on the field. And if your opponent does not have G guards or PGs, which they could use to stop his attacks, then they would have to use 2 or more cards from their hand to guard each and every attack. And with that, this card will become incredible and his second skill will become active. But as long as your opponent has PGs and good heal triggers, like good G guards they could use, this second ability of this card will not activate. They could have just called it if your opponent uses something else than a PG and a G guard, the skill will activate, because in most situations your opponent would not put 2 Guardian on the Guardian circles if they have a PG or a G guard. So that's actually it for this card, and now we have this incredibly ugly critical trigger to cover with an incredible good skill. Well, first of all, I am a big fan of Liar Lips, and when I saw that we got Miracle Ace, kind of a Miracle Ace, now Violence Ace, with an interesting ability, first thing I thought about is Progenitor, and the second thing I thought about is Liar Lips. Liar Lips was our Rising Crit. The thing is, you could always put Liar Lips in front of the Progenitor, you attack with the Liar Lips boosted by the Progenitor, and you make that incredible 11k. With that, you normally hit your opponent's Vanguard or Rear Guard, and when you attack with your Vanguard, you put the Liar Lips into your soul, you draw a card, and then you use Rising Nova skill to call something in the open Rear Guard circle that you just opened by putting the Liar Lips in front of the Progenitor. So now, I really wanted to play the Liar Lips again, because she's SP, she's beautiful, and she has the ability that could go into the soul. And now we got this one. This ugly motherfucker will replace Liar Lips, and yeah, he will replace even in my deck. Even because I find him this ugly, he's still very good. But he does, it's actually something that every crit in this set, or the premium collection set, will do, and that's Generation Break 1. When your Vanguard attacks, you put this card into your soul, you draw a card, give your Vanguard an extra 10k until the end of battle. Okay, so again, he acts the same way as Liar Lips, but now this card does not need the Rising in the card name, so he will be put in all of your premium decks to replace the critical triggers that you had from the V series. Why is that, you say? Well, because this card has 15k shield and it gives 10k power, so with the skill. So the only thing that you could dislike about this card is it having 4k and not 5k, but who gives a fuck? I mean, again, that 1k does not matter because normally you will not boost with these, and if you boost with these, well, the 1k, your 9ks boosted by 4k still hit the 13k, so yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very nice addition, and I've talked about that in the last episode of the premium collection reveals, where I said that I think that Bushido did a great job on remaking these crits, because they already introduced huge boost to the premium format by having those incredible, strange, good working, crazy ability strides, and if they introduced G Guardians as well, that would be a little bit much in my opinion. So I think they did the right choice here, and they chose for this crit. For us, Sparkler players, we are lucky, because again, this would definitely go into the charge, and this will make a big difference like Liar Lips did, and not just a mediocre crit in there that you could guard with, and when you drive check or damage check, it gives an extra 10k. So I think it's a great card, and I think it fits great into the theme of the deck and the new deck that we will make with the Violence Ace in my opinion, which is the Charge build. I think the Charge build is the build that works great with Violence Ace. Of course, we also have the GB8 build that would always be one of the best Spike decks that we could make. The only deck that I don't think that this card will work with is Badan Dragger, but I hope that Cirela will prove me wrong. And I'm also very excited to see what Crushing Yahagi Kyo, Excel from France, will do with the deck as well. I'm also interested in what Living Proof will have to say about these cards. I've always admired his choices. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm very hyped to use these cards, and I will definitely already start practicing with them. But first we have the team league, and with the team league in Europe we cannot use these cards. So first I will go into the team league, and after that I will show you which deck I used, because I already got third in the shop challenge, which was incredible. I already got my marker, and I will be definitely getting some force markers, some golden black force markers for you guys to show you also in the deck profile. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, keep sharing, liking, disliking our videos, doesn't matter, whatever you like to do, and tell us in the comment section below what you think about these cards, because I am incredibly hyped to use these cards, and I hope that you guys are hyped as well. And if you play a different clan like Tochikazi, Murakumo, Nobutama, any other clan, also tell me what you think about your stride from the premium collection, and how Force 2, Excel 2, or Protect 2 will change the deck around as in premium and as in standard, because I'm incredibly interested in what you guys think as well. So thanks for watching it again. Until next time.